Hello everyone, I'm Vinayak Narwade. In the recently conducted UPSC Civil Services examination, I have secured All India rank 37. And as an opportunity to give back to the society, I'm here at Unacademy, which is a large platform for viewers. And I'll be sharing my strategy today on how to choose an optional. And since I had mathematics as my optional, I will also give some details about with respect to why did I choose maths, or what are the specifics with respect to mathematics as an optional. So let's start. Prior to this, I'll give everyone basically a little bit of background about me. So I did my BTech in mechanical engineering from College of Engineering, Pune. And after that, I went to do my master's in New York at Columbia University, where I specialized in renewable energy. And I was working with the US government for 1 year, which is when I decided to pursue civil services. And I started my preparation in the US itself. And then when I was confident about cracking this particular examination, I decided to resign from my job, come back to India and prepare full time. As I said previously, my optional was mathematics, and I'm a web series enthusiast. I can binge watch shows for like around 12 to 13 hours in every day. So that is about me, and let's start about this video. So the overview of this particular video will be something about so these two slides will be about choosing an optional. So I will talk about what are the general considerations and person specific considerations with respect to anyone who is going to attempt this particular examination, and what are the thoughts and what are the other ideas that may come into your mind for choosing an optional. Remember, your optional is very important for scoring very high marks in the examination, because it is said that any serious aspirant is going to score on an average similar marks in the GS, but it is going to be your essay, your optional, and your ethics marks. These are around 1000 mark subjects. This is what is going to be defining your rank and your services and even your cadres to a certain extent. So this is very important, and I'll be sharing some of those strategies here. Then I'll be talking about in these three particular sections what is that related to maths that helped me decide that I should go with respect to maths, which is considered to be one of the toughest optionals, and I should actually write this examination with maths as my optional. Then once I'm done with these particular things, I'll be going with respect to what are some of the myths, going into details about the strategy, how to approach that particular syllabus, whether how to manage your time for GS as well as for maths as an optional, how to cover the syllabus, what is the number of revisions which you will be requiring for this particular subject to score good marks, and then some of the learnings which I have done with experience. Remember, this was my second attempt, and in my first attempt I was not even able to go to an interview, and in the second attempt I would say I have excelled quite nicely with 37th rank. So my experience with mathematics and my experience through UPSC CSE for the past 3 years will be something that I'll be putting out forward to you. And the final thing, this is very important, especially if you're choosing maths as an optional, which is practice. And this is not only related to maths, but even for humanities optional or even for non-technical optionals. This is something that is going to help you a lot, especially to score very good marks and get a very good rank in this particular examination. So I would like to mention about Unacademy. It is one of the largest online platforms for all the viewers. We not only have UPSC, but we also provide coaching for other classes, and particularly with respect to UPSC, we have Mrunal sir, we have Pratik sir, and others who are experts in this particular in their particular domains, and who have basically guided a lot of students in cracking this examination. So you can join the platform as per your will. So now, coming to the actual presentation, I'll start with an optional subject. What are the general considerations that you have to go through while choosing this particular optional? So this is something that I have written down. First of all, as I have said, everyone is in this examination to get good marks, and basically to get a higher rank, so that you get a service of your choice, you get into IAS, IPS or IFS if what is needed. And then once you are into all India services, you also want to be in a good cadre. So I would be very practical while you're choosing an optional. You need to ensure that your particular optional is getting you good marks, it has a good past year performance. So that is with respect to first. You don't have to do a PhD in the optional which you are choosing, but you have to be very practical and you have to get very good marks. So most important point is with respect to scores fetching ability of the subject. Any subject which you are going to take, make sure you just do a small review since 2015 if that particular optional is giving you good marks, because there are certain optionals which are giving you lower marks, and 10-15 marks is going to decide whether you will be in the list or not. So if you are putting in so much time for this particular examination, the score fetching ability of your optional has to be impeccable. Now the second one is with respect to availability of material. Remember, we are living in the times of infodemic. On Telegram, there are so many resources available, on numerous blogs, numerous free resources. We have so much content. And in this particular case, if you're dedicating time for your optional, your material should be consolidated, it should be concise, and it should be you should be able to finish everything within a period of 2 to 3 months, especially with respect to the first reading I'm talking about. So availability of material is very important. So any optional you choose, make sure that you have some sort of an idea about what is the amount of material available, whether it can be covered in 1.5 months, because a lot of students from anthropology as an optional, they say that it can be covered in 1.5 months. For technical subjects, it can take longer, but if the material is available, you will be at ease in this particular task. Now, the third thing is about length of the syllabus and time required to complete it. As I have mentioned just now, that there are certain optionals which can be completed in 1.5 months, but I'm not sure about if they are fetching you scores or not. And then there are certain options like mathematics which take long amounts of time, but then they are consistently giving out toppers in this particular examination and consistently giving out good results. So this kind of a thing, a general consideration, you have to go for a weighted approach about how you will be choosing this particular optional. And fourth will be with respect to coaching or guidance required for this particular subject. Now remember, UPSC syllabus, for every optional, there are 26 optionals according to UPSC, and usually every optional, it has some sort of bachelor's and a little bit of a master's course for that particular, for example, if it is a humanities optional, it will have BA plus MA of history. If it is maths, it will have BSc plus MSc related syllabus. So you need to be very well versed with respect to the syllabus. Is it possible to complete this on your own, or do you require coaching? A lot of engineers are appearing for this particular examinations with humanities as their optional, and then you don't have a background and you're competing with students who have actually completed their masters in humanities. So for optional, you may require coaching. For GS, I would say it is a 50-50 probability, but for optionals, it usually goes to around 70-30 probability, wherein you may require coaching, because that is something that it can expedite your process with respect to completing the syllabus. It can provide you a good guidance. So that is something that also you need to check down on. And finally, success rate or past year performances. I will again mention, we are in this particular examination not to get stuck in this particular cycle, because it is brutal. We are in this examination to get a good rank and get out of that cycle as fast as possible. And remember, there are a lot of people who get into other services, but then they appear for this examination again and again, so as they can get into IAS or IPS or IFS. So if you want to get out of this cycle fast, you need to take a good grand look about the success rate and past year performances which your particular optional has provided. So now let's talk about maths. Up till now I was talking about general considerations about how to choose an optional. Now I will be talking about maths. So first I'll talk about the scores fetching ability. In 2018 we had Kanish sir, who was All India rank 1. He had secured 361 odd marks in this particular optional. And the difference between him and All India rank 2 was around 30 to 40 marks. And so you can see maths can provide you that sort of an edge over your competitors. Now in 2019, which is last year, when optionals were performing very badly, there was All India rank 105 who had secured 341 marks in this particular examination, and it was this particular scoring ability for him in the optional which got him to 105 marks. I'll tell a funny incident. Actually, Mayur sir and I had similar marks in GS essay, and I had 178 in mathematics in my first attempt, and he had 341. So it is basically a difference of 160 marks. That is what got him into the services in that attempt, and that is what didn't even get me an interview call in my first attempt. So maths has been very positive. Even this year, when we are not seeing a lot of marks in optional, the highest is of 322 marks. So this is a very considerable backing for maths as an optional about why you should be choosing maths as an optional, because every mark counts, and 10 or 20 marks additional in your optional is going to give you the edge to get a 2-digit rank or even a single-digit rank, and that can help you clear this examination as fast as possible. Now, the second thing is with respect to availability of material. So there are quite different coaching institutes available, and over the time with their experience, they have consolidated the material. Although the material is large, but it is consolidated. If you refer to these if you refer to the material which is provided by these coaching institutes, I believe you don't need to look for anything around. But that again depends upon person to person. There are some people who might be not confident about certain subjects or certain parts of the syllabus which they'll be doing. So they may require certain reference books, certain additional material, and that is also available for mathematics. So from my point of view, a very good consolidated sources are available for this particular optional. So if that is the thing that you are worried about, you need not be worried about that. Maths will give you everything. Now, the length of the syllabus and time required to complete it. Technical optionals usually, and if you are not in touch with the entire syllabus, they may take you longer amounts of time. For me, during my first reading, it took me 3 months. And remember, I took 3 months because I was working and then preparing. So it may not be the case with you. If you are putting in around 10 to 12 hours every day, you may be finishing this particular syllabus much early. So for maths, I would say this is a little bit tricky. The syllabus is large. You are going to be required to put in a lot of effort to complete the syllabus. And for maths, it is not something that once you read it and you are going to be well versed with everything. You need at least 4 to 5 revisions. So maths is going to take a lot of your time. So always make a decision. Always make an informed decision about your capabilities, your comfort level. I'll be talking more on that in the future. Now, the coaching and guidance for the subject, it is available. There are not only offline coaching institutes, but there are also online platforms which are providing coaching for mathematics. And so you need not be worried about even the coaching aspect. These are good institutes and these have churned out toppers. So there's no need to be worried about coaching institutes. Now, success rate. Why? Like some of you might be wondering, when I have mentioned this particular point here, why is the case that I am mentioning it again? So the reason about this is these people, Kanishk sir, Mayur Khandelwal sir, and the topper of this year, they are outliers. They are 1 in a million people, I would say, because getting 360 in any optional, it is something very difficult. So there are outliers, but there are average people or more than average people like me who are also cracking this examination with a very good score. So I would say I'm repeating this because maths is providing consistently toppers, 4 to 5 toppers among the top 50 top 40 ranks. So that is a very good success ratio. If you look at other subjects, it is very less, especially among the top 50 ranks. And there are some of us who are dreaming about IAS, who are writing this exam again and again, despite having a service, because you want to get into IAS or an All India service. And that is something that, maths can help you go up to those top 70 ranks. So not only there are outliers, but there are also more than average students like me who are being successful in this particular examination. So this is something related to math specific things which you can be looking forward to. Now, why did I choose maths? I am getting a lot of questions since 24th September that, sir, you are masters in mechanical engineering, and then why didn't you choose mechanical engineering as an optional and why maths? So the answer to that question is basically, when I was doing masters in mechanical engineering, I was doing a specialization in renewable energy, and as a result I was focusing on a very small part of mechanical engineering and a lot of details about those small parts. So the core concepts of mechanical engineering, like strength of materials, machine designing, theory of machines, these are some topics which I was not in touch with during my masters. And I believe that for any technical optional, you have to be consistently in touch with the syllabus, and that is something that can help you reproduce your knowledge in that particular examination. So since I was not very much comfortable with those core concepts, I decided that I would choose maths as an optional. But then there are other things. If I would have been India, I believe that I may not have chosen maths as an optional, because we have unnecessary advice, toxic advice, which is given to us by our peers. And I would like to emphasize a little bit here that in this particular examination, your mental health and your mentor, mental health and your mentor is going to do wonders for you. If you have a good mentor, you are going to choose a good optional, you are going to have a successful journey in this particular examination. So if I when I was deciding about an optional in 2015, at that time I was not serious about this examination, but I was told that you need not take a technical optional because of its binary nature. It will either get you into the list or it will not even get you an interview call. And at that time I was immature. I was like, I won't even get an interview call if it is the worst case scenario, and then what to do. But when I decided to choose maths as an optional, I was in the US. It was 2018. I had a lot of maturity, and then I decided that what is the point of getting into an interview round if I'm not able to clear that examination? I would be in much more depression if I'm not able to clear that examination. It is fine if I don't go to the interview, but if I go to the interview, I need my name in the list, and if possible, I need my name among the top 70 rankers in the list, so that I don't have to go through the entire process again. So this maturity and the lacking of toxic advice which is given, that helped me to choose maths as an optional when I was in the US. So that was the first thing. Now the second thing, while choosing any optional, you have to be aware about your strengths and weaknesses. Now I knew about one of my weakness, which is writing answers. I was not comfortable with writing answers, writing 2 or 3 pages, and in certain cases for optional you have 20 markers, so that is basically 4 pages of answers. So I was a little bit averse to writing answers, and I knew that is going to be my weakness if I choose humanities as my optional. And I'm already competing with people from North India, who have and South India or anywhere in India, who have a huge grasp of the humanities as their optional, and if I'm getting 20-30 marks less than them, then I'm nowhere in the race. So I knew about my weakness, that answer writing is going to be my weakness if I choose humanities as my optional. But if I choose maths, if I practice a problem like 6 to 7 times, I'm going to be able to replicate it as it is in the examination, and I'm going to get a large amount of marks, because maths is technical optional, it's objective. At max, for maths you can get 8 out of 10 marks, but for humanities it will usually go around 6 out of 10 marks. So that 1 or 2 mark edge in every question is something that is going to help me get 15 to 20 marks. Now why 15 to 20 marks? Because there are also going to be questions in mathematics which you are not going to be able to solve at all, but then humanities students will have that sort of an edge in this particular in their particular optionals, because they'll at least get 2 or 3 marks out of 10, but in maths it will be 0. So that 15 to 20 marks edge with respect to answer writing, that is something that you need to decide for yourself. So you need to understand your strengths and weakness, and I knew my weakness about answer writing. Now when I was in the US, I was working in policy research, and I knew that if I want to go back to India and if I want to pursue civil services, IAS is going to be my best opportunity. And when I looked at the list, it is usually goes up to around 70-75 ranks. And so I knew that if I'm going into this particular examination, I have to be among the top 75. And maths is something that can provide me that 15-20 marks lead over my competitors, and that is something that is going to help me a lot in the future. So that was another criteria that I had in my mind. To get into top 70 rank, I have to choose an objective optional, I have to choose a technical optional. Now about the syllabus. During my BTech, I had M1, M2, M3. This is something that all the engineering students have. But during my BTech, we also have to choose certain subjects out of my own. And then I had chosen 2 subjects from the mathematics department. So I had around 5 courses during my engineering on mathematics. and that had helped me cover a lot of my syllabus. During my masters, as I said, I was working in heat transfer, in renewable energy. At that time, I was using some of mathematical concepts like ordinary differential equations, partial differential equations. So I was consistently in touch with these particular subjects. When I looked at the syllabus, with mechanical engineering, I was not sure about like 40 to 50% of the syllabus. But when I looked into maths, I was like, okay, this is the 40% syllabus which I am well prepared for, and with 2 or 3 revisions for this 40% syllabus, I will be able to do good in the examination. But then for the 60%, I had to put in a lot of effort. So I was confident that I will be able to do that. So that is something that helped me to choose this optional. And then finally, this is one particular thing. I was, as I said, once again, I was in the US when I decided maths as an optional. This was pre-pandemic times. The online platforms were not very popular, and I didn't have the privilege of going for an offline coaching. So I knew that if I choose humanities as an optional, it is going to be very difficult for me without having any coaching to compete with people who are studying full time back in India. And I also knew about my strength that with maths as my optional, I'm always going to have that one step forward. I'm always going to have that edge with respect to completion of the syllabus. So that is something that, which provoked me to basically go for maths as an option. So some mythbusters for mathematics. There's a lot of air in and around old Rajendra Nagar, in and around India, about choosing technical optionals. So first one I usually get is, sir, are you from IIT? Because we believe that only IITians can do maths as an optional. So no, I'm not from IIT. I have already mentioned that I was a part of an autonomous institute, College of Engineering, Pune, then Columbia University, which are good institutes. But then, why is this fear? Because you're competing with them. And but I believe that you're not competing with IITians. I believe that you're competing with yourself. So don't think about this particular optional that there are going to be IITians who are going to be very objective, who are going to be very powerful in their optional, and then they'll be scoring very high marks. Remember, there are a lot of also engineering service students who are Indian engineering services. They are also appearing for this examination. So they also have completed their entire optional beforehand because they have written that examination for civil engineering, for mechanical engineering. So you need not compete with them. You have to compete with yourself. So don't think that only IITians can crack this particular examination, or only students from reputed institutes can crack this examination with technical as an optional. If you have a decent background of BSc and MSc, I believe the syllabus says it all. You can correlate your syllabus of both these two programs, and it will be very much similar to what you will be having in UPSC. So if you have a good background and if you're comfortable with it, go for maths. Also about engineering, as I mentioned previously, I had 5 courses in mathematics during my engineering times, but usually students do have around 3 courses. So it helps you cover around 30 to 40% of the syllabus. But then there are new chapters like modern algebra, then numerical methods and computer programming. If someone has done BTech in computer programming, then fluid mechanics will be a new topic for them. So these are certain things that you might need to put in an extra effort for. But as I have already previously mentioned, this examination is about having that 10, 15, 20 marks edge. So if you are comfortable with the syllabus, you need not think about your educational background, whether you are from a reputed institute or not. Just go for it. The second is, maths will always give you a high rank. Now I'll tell you a personal experience. So this was my second attempt. During my first attempt, I had gone through the past year performances, and I had seen people who had like all India rank 7 or among the top 10 rankers who had 340 marks, the outliers which I mentioned in the previous slides like Kanish sir and others. And I went in this particular examination with a lot of overconfidence that I'll be scoring 314 maths. It's okay if I score 317 GS. Maths is always going to give me that lead, and suddenly I'll be in the list. When I go into the examination, I score 178 in maths. I still score 317 GS, and I don't get an interview call. So maths is always not going to get you in this particular examination. You have to put in a lot of effort. There are cost and benefit analysis with respect to everything, and you cannot just go with a mindset that you are going to be one of those outliers, because you can also be an outlier on the negative side, and I would say that I might have one of the lowest scores in that particular examination, 2019 attempt. So go with an unbiased mindset for this particular examination. You have to put in a lot of effort. You have to put in a lot of practice. You have to join test series. Everything has to converge. If you want to be among top 70, one optional, one paper is not going to take you there. Everything has to be converged. You have to good in essay. You have to be good in essay. You have to be good in GS. You have to be good in your optional, and you have to be good in your personality test. If all these things converge, only then and then you are going to basically be able to crack this particular examination. Now, about the test series, this is something again that I would like to emphasize on. For maths, we are usually doing a pen and paper approach, and I'll be sharing some pics at the end of this particular presentation about how much pen and how much paper is required for this examination. But since we are using a lot of pen and paper, we are writing answers daily, we are going step by step for this particular examination. So students think that there's no need of test series because we have already practiced a lot of answer writing. But what is the importance of test series? I'll have a separate slide on that. But a test series is something that that will help you to go through the entire syllabus in a period of 3 hours. So if you're writing full length tests, you will understand that which are the chapters which you are missing on if everything comes to you at once. And then you can, while revising, you can put an extra emphasis on these particular chapters. So test series is very important. In the first attempt, didn't go with the test series, scored 178. In the second attempt, wrote 2 test series, one before the prelims, one after the prelims, scored 275. A 98 mark improvement is something, is very good. I was expecting more marks in maths. Maths is something that disappointed me to a certain extent, but still overall everything converged, and as I said, I got a good rank. I'm getting into IS, and that is all that matters right now. So test series is important. You cannot go into this particular examination with maths as an optional without having a test series. Now, maths requires a lot of effort. Is it a myth? Is it not? This is not a myth. It requires a lot of effort, but the cost benefit analysis is very high. You can you can have only 1 or 2 optionals, which you can go from one exam to another, and you can have a 100-mark improvement. And I am an alive example for this particular fact, that in 2019 and 2020, with maths as an optional, I have been able to improve my marks by at least 97. I had a 97 marks improvement. So maths requires a lot of effort, but it has the cost benefit ratio that I'll have some formulae in the next slides, that the more effort you put in, the better marks you are going to get with respect to maths as an optional. So timeline for mathematics. So how do you go about covering this particular optional in a comprehensive manner? Now the first thing is, I'll distribute this into before prelims and after prelims. So before prelims, when you are starting, I would say once you have done with your the standard books for GS, then you can start going for an optional. As I mentioned that it took me 3 months for my first reading. It may take you less, it may take you more, but then that was the thing that I did 3 months before first reading. And so 3 months for my first reading. Reading is a wrong term for maths. I would say 3 months for going through the entire syllabus or solving the entire syllabus. So that is something that took me. Then I did 2 revisions. So first solving plus 2 more revisions. That is something that I would advise anyone and everyone who is going with maths as an optional for this particular examination. Now, what do I mean before prelims? This means if prelims is in October, so by May or by March, you need to be finished with 2 revisions along with the first solving. So you will have gone through the syllabus 3 times. And during the same amount of time, you can purchase a test series from the market. You need not actually subscribe to a test series. You can just go to the market. You can have a set of already conducted test series for previous years. You can purchase them and you can start writing papers. And since maths is objective, you not need a lot of feedback. You can self-evaluate or evaluate among other friends who also have maths as an optional, and then you can give each other marks, and usually keep the scaling factor to around 0.75, and that will give you a good idea about the chapters which you need to emphasize more on, about what is the ballpark number you are looking forward to for this particular examination. So this is something that I will advise before prelims. One solving plus 2 revisions and completion of one test series. Now what is after post prelims? You will be needing 2 more revisions and after prelims, and you will be subscribing to an actual test series. Now what does this mean? You will actually go to the coaching institute. You will tell them that you want to subscribe for a test series, and you will solve those tests as per their schedule. So what happens is, it helps you basically to cover the entire syllabus, to have that particular mindset that you will be distributing time equally between GS and maths, and it gives you that additional practice, because maths is all about practice. So this test series is going to help you a lot, and the time the schedule which is provided for these classes, if you are following that schedule, it is going to help you a lot with this particular examination. So with respect to the revisions, I'll be talking about something called as book of wrongs, and that is something that will help you in these 2 particular revisions. Well, here at Unacademy, I'll also be giving a plus course for ethics and also for society and social justice, and this is my code, Vinayak Narwade. So my initials V and N, and 37, which is my all India rank. So this is something that you can use on your Unacademy platform to look at the courses which I'll be teaching and subscribe to them. So this is something for the future, and please keep it in mind. Now coming back to mathematics, the resources which will be required for this particular optional subject. Now, as I have already previously mentioned, that the coaching institute notes, they are the most consolidated, and that is something that will help you cover up the syllabus real fast. So from a personal experience, you need not do anything apart from the coaching institute notes which are available if they are from those reputed institutes. But if again, with respect to the comfort level, if you need some value additions with respect to certain chapters, if you need more problems to solve for certain chapters which you are not confident about or you are not comfortable about, then you can go for books like Krishna series as well as MD Rai Singhania, which are standard reference books, and you can refer to them for more problems. So that is something that can be done. Now, previous year questions. A good list of previous year questions is also available online, and a lot of these questions are available from 1990s. But something to keep your preparation limited, I would advise to go not beyond 2008. So 2008 to 2020. So these 13 years of practice can help you get a good idea about what is the UPSC mindset for this particular examination, what are the problems that are frequently being asked, what are the problems that I need to focus more on because they are consistently being asked and for higher number of marks. So this will help you a lot, the previous year questions. And there is also one particular reference to Nitish K sir. He had a good rank some time back, and he has a blog especially for flowcharts. This is for the numerical methods and computer programming syllabus. So he has some decent amount of information over there, and you can refer to his blog. So overall, resources for mathematics, they are vast, but they are consolidated and they are limited. And you need not basically go into the market and scratch your heads about what are the resources that you need to refer if you are following a good reputed institute, even if not for coaching but just for material. So that is something that can help you. I did not have any coaching for mathematics, but I referred to the notes from one of the reputed institutes, so that I'll be able to cover the entire syllabus in the shortest amount of span. So you can do it too. So don't worry about the number of resources. Test series. Once again, I am re-emphasizing this fact that test series is extremely important. Now there are 2 to 3 things why test series is important. First is with respect to when you go into the examination hall on your when it is your mains paper, you are covering maths 1 and maths 2 syllabus in one single day in those 2-3 hour chunks. So that is something that you need to have practice to have all the syllabus come to you at once. So for that particular purpose, test series is important. Now the second reason why test series is important is basically for time management. Like what is the amount of time you need to give for compulsory questions? What is the amount of time you need to give to actually think about which are the 3 optionals I'll be solving and then go on to solve them? And what are the chapters that you need to work more on? Because when you solve them in an isolated manner, you are able to get those answers, but when everything comes to you at once, you are not able to remember from those particular chapters. So for those things, test series is extremely important. Once again, I would emphasize on Once again, I would emphasize on the personal experience. With no test series, I had only 178 marks. With 2 test series which I joined, I was able to build in a lot of confidence. I was able to get a lot of practice, and I was able to basically think about what is the thing which I need to do actually during the D-day or the day in the examination hall. So test series is sine qua non. It is a political term, political science term, but it is sine qua non for your success in mathematics. Time management. Now this is very important because a lot of times what we get is there's no overlap. Maths is not overlapping with GS, so I'm not sure about how to go on with this particular preparation. I'm not sure about how to distribute the time for between maths and GS. So this is very important. Now, when you are doing your first solving, at that time I would say go with a modular approach. You'll be doing only maths for like 80% of your time, and then 20% of your time during your first solving will be dedicated to other things like something about revision for GS, the topics which you have covered beforehand, or going with respect to newspaper reading, current affairs based strategies. So that is something that you need to do in the first reading. Now second reading onwards, that means this is your first revision. So first revision onwards, you will actually start distributing the time 50-50. So if you're studying, if your day is about 14 to 15 hours, you can go with respect to around 7 hours for maths and 7 hours for GS. That is going to help you a lot, because remember, I have told you previously that during the first attempt I was overconfident, and then everything it was a blunder. That I would secure higher marks in maths, and it's okay if I that will compensate the lower marks in GS. So that is not something how it works. So you have to go 50-50 distribution for mathematics and GS. Everything has to converge. And then once again about the test series, which I have mentioned well in detail before. Covering the syllabus. There are 13 chapters. Maths 1 has around 6, Maths 1 has around 6 and Maths 2 has around 7. So usually some people try to go with respect to chapter by chapter, and I would say it may take you a longer amount of time. This happened during my first attempt, that I was going chapter by chapter, and it took me more time than what it should have taken if I had clubbed the chapters, because there are a lot of concepts between some chapters in Maths part 1 and Maths part 2, which, you know, if you are doing them together, if you are clubbing the chapters together, it will help you work with those concepts for longer amount of time, and that will actually improve your retention ability. And not only that, it will also allow you to see how that concept gets appeared or gets applied in different aspects. So this is something that I have researched a lot on, and this is something that I would recommend to newcomers especially, to go to club the chapters in this manner and then go particularly for your preparation. So first is with respect to calculus, real analysis, complex analysis, vector analysis. I believe calculus and vector analysis are parts of Maths 1, and these two chapters are parts of Maths 2. But if you are able to go with this particular approach, that doing calculus first, then real analysis, or then complex analysis, and finally vector analysis, you will have a good hold about all the concepts which are required, be it differential calculus, be it integral calculus, or be it with respect to linear integration. So if you have seen the syllabus, you will understand that why these 4 chapters are clubbed together, because they have a lot of overlap in that particular syllabus. Second is with respect to ODE and partial differential equations. So ordinary differential equations gives you a good base to build on, and then partial differential equation is just a more complex form of ordinary differential equations. And then again, if you are clubbing these 2 chapters, you will be well versed with the syllabus for which are required for all the differential equations. Third is with respect to linear algebra and modern algebra. Again, quite similar concepts, so you can do these 2 chapters together. These are the easier chapters from the outset. So LPP and NMCP, they do not require a large amount of time, but if you can club them together, you will be able to finish them much faster. Now these 2 topics, this is of Maths 1, statics and dynamics, and this is of Maths 2. So these are some things that require long amounts of time, but they have excellent returns in terms of marks. So if you are able to do them together, because see, statics and dynamics is about is mechanics. It is just mechanics, and then fluid mechanics is mechanics about fluids. So if you are able to again club those chapters together, you will be very well versed with the concepts which are required for these things. And finally, it is analytical geometry. Analytical geometry is a separate chapter. You can do it in a decent manner. So once again, clubbing to the newcomers, follow this approach. You are going to help. You are going to say thank you to me, because you have a much better retention power with respect to going forward with respect to the mathematics syllabus. Difficult chapters. So there are myths, and then there are actualities. There are certain difficult chapters which basically can give you a headache when you are going, and it can lower your confidence. But then you have to be practical. See, you need not score 360 or 370 marks in this particular examination. If you have that 30%, if you have that 30 marks lead over your competitors from humanities optional, you are going to have a very good rank. So certain chapters like modern algebra, if you do not have a background, it is going to be very difficult for you to go and solve all these examples. This one particular chapter can give you a very good headache if you do not have that background. So if you do not have background, then focus only on the 10 markers. The definitions of the definitions that are in this particular chapter. So what is a field? What is a ring? What is a group? If you are well versed with the definitions, I guarantee you that you can at least solve the 10 markers. And these 10 markers are the ones which appear in question number 1 and question number 5, which are compulsory. So if you are able to do them, it will at least boost your confidence while going for paper 2 or while going for the optional questions, whatever your strategy is. So modern algebra, if no background, just focus on 10 markers. But if you have a background, believe me, you have a very good chance about here to get those 5 to 10 marks extra from your maths competitors. So if you have a background, if you are very well versed with modern algebra related chapters, then just go for having multiple revisions of this particular chapters, because it can give you that edge over others. Statics, dynamics and fluid mechanics. Once again, as I said previously, very large chapters. These 2 chapters itself can take you 1 month for your preparation, because the syllabus is so much, but they are of great guarantee, and they can ensure you that you have those 60, 70, 80 marks in that particular exam out of 500, because usually this particular chapters comes for around 50 marks, and this particular chapter also comes for around 50 marks, and if you are able to solve those 100 markers, you can get 70 to 80 marks. So very nice opportunity for all of you to actually invest that 1 month and then multiple revisions with respect to these chapters, and it is going to get you a lot of success in this particular paper. LPP and NMCP. LPP is linear programming and NMCP is numerical methods and computer programming or computer analysis. These chapters look very easy at the outset, but they have betrayed me twice, both in CSE 2019 and CSE 2020. LPP is something that I tried to attempt, but then I had to leave that particular example in between and go for other examples. So that is the reason why I have, I guess, 10 marks less in this particular examination. But then, as I said, they look very easy at the outset. We tend to ignore them. But if you have those multiple number of revisions, 3 to 4 revisions for these particular topics, I believe you can excel a lot. I went with only 1 or 2 revisions, and then I bumbled in the examination. I was not able to solve the problems completely. So that is something that you need to keep a watch on. Now, personal modifications. Now, these are some things that I have learned over experience of the past 3 years during both my attempts, and these are some things that I have actually applied. So first of all is book of wrongs. If you remember Karnavati Varun sir, who was All India rank 7 in 2018 attempt, this is something that was recommended by him, and it helped me wonders in this particular attempt. So what is a book of wrongs? I guess I have mentioned it previously, but if you are going through your second revision and if you are not able to solve a particular problem, take an A4 sheet, write that particular problem down and put it in a folder. Like this, you will have around 10 to 15 pages for every chapter in mathematics. So you will have around 130 to 150 pages for the entire syllabus. So this is the revision which you need to do again and again, and this will be your holy grail for mathematics. And remember, book of wrongs is going to be very useful in that 1 week time between your GS papers and your language papers. So if you are able to go through this book of wrongs, it will guarantee you 60 to 70 marks in this in mathematics as your optional. So book of wrongs is very important. I re-emphasize, please follow this. If you get a problem wrong, or if you are not able to think about a problem in your second revision, note it down, make a folder, and keep it as your holy grail. Previous year questions, very important, because they not only help you channelize your preparation towards particular questions, get you out of certain concepts which you may be overemphasizing on. Previous year questions are very important. So I have mentioned it previously, but this is again, since these are the last 2-3 slides which I'll be talking about, I want to re-emphasize about these two particular concepts. During the examination, now this is very important. How I get a lot of questions, sir, how do I go forward with the paper 1 and paper 2? Do I solve compulsory questions first, or do I solve optional question first? How much time should I take to basically choose an optional question, or the 3 out of the 5 questions which I need to solve? So this is something about that. During the first attempt, what happened was, I went into the examination. I didn't have a strategy, a clear strategy. So I decided that I would take the compulsory questions, question number 1 and question number 5 first. And when I started doing it, actually what happened was, there were 2 questions in question 1 and 3 questions in question 5, which I was not able to do. So I immediately, it hit me hard that I will be able to solve only 200 marks paper. And then suddenly my confidence went down. And when I was solving the optional questions, even the questions which I knew were, I did mistakes in them, and I secured less than 100 marks in paper 1 and paper 2, and overall 178 marks. So when after the maths 2 paper on of 2019 attempt, I decided that first thing I need to do is basically complete my syllabus for mathematics, and the second thing which I need to do is create an approach about how I am going to solve this particular examination. So during the second attempt, I had a reframed strategy. I took 15 minutes just to work on the 3 questions which I'll be solving, and these are the optional questions. Remember, there are 2 questions in one section and 1 question in another section which you have to solve. So I take around 15 to 20 minutes to just decide what are the questions which I'll be solving. And remember, these are 150 markers. So if you know problems which are on an average 120, 130 marks out of 150, you will have a very good chance of getting a high score. So I took 15 minutes just to decide on those 3 particular questions. Then I actually solved them. I didn't even look at the compulsory questions, because that is something that I didn't want to do again. I didn't want to lose my confidence. And then when I went into the compulsory questions, even if I was not able to solve 1 or 2 out of those 10, I had that mindset that, if I have put in so much effort, if I am not able to solve it, no one in India is going to be able to solve it in that particular time frame and in that examination hall. So that was a confidence booster for me. So that is something that I would recommend to everyone. But this cannot come directly on the D-Day. This has to be practiced. So both the test series, before prelims and after prelims, which I did, I followed the same approach. This is not something that came into my mind just 2 days before the examination and I went and applied in the examination. This is something that I have practiced all my 25 tests which I have written for mathematics. So that is something that you can do, but make sure that you have sufficient amount of practice before going into the examination hall. Now, some success formulae for mathematics, I would say. Again, something that I have learned over a period of past 3 years. Pen and paper is going to help you retain. Maths is not about reading. Maths is not about reading. Maths is about using a pen, using a paper, and solving those particular problems. Remember, if you're reading mathematical problems, you are basically digging a grave for 1 year, which you have wasted. So it is a very difficult thing, and it will give you a lot of headache. Especially after your attempt, that you were not able to solve those problems even when you have actually seen them. So maths is about pen and paper. I'll show you, and in the next picture I will show you basically about how much pen and how much paper I have used. The second thing is about maths is all about revisions. Maths is about revisions. So I would say 4 revisions will definitely give you more than 250 marks. Add a test series, add 2 test series to this. It will give you 20 marks. So if you have 4 revisions and if you have 2 test series solved, I can guarantee you around 270 marks for maths as an optional, provided that you have slept enough during the one day before or 1 week before the examination, if you have a clear set of a mind and your brain has had enough rest. So if only 4 revisions and 2 test series is going to get you 270 marks. Now every additional revision, the 5th revision will get you around 10 extra marks, the 6th additional revision will get you around 10 marks, and I cannot guarantee this for any other optional, but I can definitely guarantee you this for mathematics. So this is something, a very objective analysis of my previous 3 years effort. So it can help you fetch at least 275 to 80 marks in maths if you have something planned around on these lines. Book of wrongs, re-emphasizing it, book of wrongs, it helped me get 80 marks. I was able to solve those questions with such ferocity and with such speed that I had a lot of time to basically solve other examples. I remember telling my friend that, I had solved these examples just on Friday and then they appeared in the examination. So book of wrongs is something that is going to help you a lot. Yeah, so that's the thing that I wanted to actually show you. The amount of ink which I have used during the past year. So these are basically 2 rupee pens which I used before the prelims when I was practicing for mathematics, and then once after the prelims I decided that I'll be using only the pen which I'll be using in the examination. Remember, this is the ink for this pen, and 1 bottle actually fills in 3 pens. So every ink bottle you see here is equivalent to 3 pens. This is Pilot V5 pen. So that is the amount of practice which you actually need to put in this examination, and that is the pen and paper approach which I consistently keep talking about. Maths is not about reading, maths is about solving. And these are the number of registers which I have filled in the past 1 year. Remember, this entire thing, it has nothing to do with CSE 2019. This all started after CSE 2019, and that is when I made a mental challenge to myself that I'll be saving these pens and these books, so that even after the examination, if I'm not able to make into the services, if I'm not able to score good in mathematics, then I can tell myself that Vinayak, you have tried your level best and there is nothing else that you can do. So if you have that sort of a mindset, if you have that sort of a motivation to go forward with mathematics as an optional, you will be doing a great sort of deal in this particular examination. So that's all from my side. Let's crack it together. Please join the Unacademy platform if you want to have more lectures, and if you also want to have the lectures on the Plus platform, which I'll be doing in real time soon. Thank you.